Starlight Studios. The Biscuit Brothers presents The New Bakery. It was a lovely day in the village as the two brothers, Henry and George, were baking their morning biscuits. George, I do believe this batch is our best one yet. Really, Henry, let's have a taste, shall we? I say, these are simply delicious. We should take a few of these with us on our morning stroll. The two brothers packed a few biscuits and headed out on their morning stroll. As they began, Mrs. Nelson stopped them. Good morning, boys. Hello, Mrs. Nelson. I say, what is that delicious smell coming from your basket there? This is the latest batch of our brand new biscuits Henry and I have made this morning. Here, have one. Oh my goodness, these are delicious, boys. Why, if you two started a bakery, I'd be there every day. Well, have a good day, boys. I'm off. Good day, Mrs. Nelson. The two brothers, Henry and George, waved goodbye to Mrs. Nelson as they continued on their walk. As they were strolling along, they happened upon Mr. Maloney mailing some letters. Well, if it isn't Henry and George. Hello, boys. Hello, Mr. Maloney. Heaven's sakes, boys, what on earth is that wonderful smell coming from your basket? Henry and I baked our very best batch of biscuits this morning. Would you like to try one? I should say so. These biscuits are simply amazing. My, if you boys had your own bakery, I would stop by for one of these every day. Well, I'm off, boys. Good day. Good day, Mr. Maloney. As Henry and George continued down the lane, they began to chat. You know, George, both Mrs. Nelson and Mr. Maloney really enjoyed our biscuits. I know. It's almost as if they were the best biscuits that either of them had ever eaten. Just then they saw Nigel, a little boy who had a pet goat named Sampson. When Sampson smelled the basket that Henry and George were carrying, he became very excited and began to jump wildly about. Samson! Calm down, Samson! Hello, Henry and George. Hello, Nigel. Hello, Sampson. Samson had become so excited that Henry had to hold the basket of biscuits over his head to keep him away from Samson. I'm not sure what you two have in that basket, but can Samson please have one before he pulls me over? George and I packed a few biscuits from this morning's batch to have on our stroll down the lane. We started out with several, but now we only have 2 left. Would you and Samson like to have our last 2 biscuits? Thank you so much. I'm sure they will taste very good because I can smell them through the basket. Nigel and Sampson both ate a biscuit. Samson's eyes grew as big as saucers, and he was simply delighted at how delicious the biscuits were. These are incredible! I do believe these are the best biscuits I've ever eaten. The two of you should open a bakery so that Samson and I can come by every day for one of these biscuits. Well, we must be off now. Good day, Henry. And good day, George. Good day, Nigel. And good day, Sampson. Henry and George realized that they had given out all of the biscuits from the basket and there were none left for them to enjoy on their walk. I say, George, Mrs. Nelson, Mr. Maloney, and Nigel have all suggested that we open a bakery so that they can enjoy these biscuits. Why, you're right, Henry. Even Sampson enjoyed the biscuits. Henry and George thought about it for a bit, and then they decided that they loved the idea of opening their own bakery. I say, George, we should open our own bakery right here in the center of the village. Then we can make our biscuits every day for our friends to enjoy. Why, Henry, that is a fantastic idea. So that is exactly what they did. Henry and George opened their very own bakery right in the center of the village, and every morning the whole village was filled with the wonderful aroma of Henry and George's baked delights. People from all over the village would come to the bakery every morning to enjoy one of Henry and George's famous biscuits. I say, Henry, I for one am very glad that we opened this bakery. Why is that, George? Because if we hadn't, we wouldn't have enough biscuits for ourselves. Henry and George had a good laugh, and then they both got back to work, keeping very busy making those delicious biscuits for the entire village to enjoy. The end. The Biscuit Brothers presents The Broken Oven. It was a busy day in the Biscuit Brothers bakery. The villagers always came to Henry and George's bakery for breakfast and sometimes to get treats for after dinner. On this particular morning, things had been so busy that they ran out of biscuits earlier than they had expected and needed to make some more. George, do we still have that extra bag of flour? Why, yes. I do believe I saw it in the storage room beside the oven just the other day. I'll go grab it. George went into the storage room and looked around. but he did not see the bag of flour. Henry, by any chance did you move the bag of flour that was back here? I don't see it anywhere. Did you check against the back wall? George went to check against the back wall to see if he saw the extra bag of flour. To his surprise, he did see it, but it was stacked high on top of some boxes. Just wonderful. Well, I suppose I would just have to climb up there and get it. George climbed all of the boxes until he was at the very top where the bag of flour was. Ah, here we are. I'll just take this bag down and we'll be ready to go. No sooner had George said that when he lost his balance and boxes flew everywhere. George, are you all right back there? I heard a crash, a bang, and a splat. Well, the crash was the boxes falling, the bang was me falling, and the splat was the bag of flour falling. Oh, you found it. Splendid. Do bring it up here quickly. We have to get these biscuits going, you know. George struggled to pick himself up off of the floor and get the bag of flour up to the front to Henry. Here you go, Henry. The two brothers got right to work preparing the biscuits for baking in the oven. All right, George, now all we have to do is stick these biscuits into the oven, and voila, we will have a fresh batch of biscuits for everyone to eat. But when Henry put the biscuits into the oven, he noticed something was wrong. Something is not right here. George, can you come have a look and see if you can spot anything wrong here? George bent down and peered into the oven with a rather puzzled look on his face. I do believe you're right, Henry. Something definitely does not look right with this oven. But what could it be? The brothers puzzled and puzzled and thought and thought. Finally, George said, "It would be so much easier to see what was wrong if the light on the inside of the oven was on instead of off." George, that's it. That is what is wrong. The oven light is not on when I open the door. The oven light always comes on when I open the door, but this time it did not. That must be what was so strange. Henry pressed the button to turn on the oven light, but surprisingly, nothing happened. I say, George, when I press this oven light button, the oven light should turn on. But when I press it like this, nothing happens, and the light stays off. Something is keeping this oven light from working. I wonder what it could be. I know. Maybe if we press one of the other buttons, the oven will make a beeping sound. Every time that I press a button on the oven to make it hotter or colder, the button beeps. That will tell us whether or not the oven is working. George pressed the button to make the oven hotter, but the button did not make any noise. Oh no! Our oven must be broken! The brothers were very upset about the oven being broken. Just then, Mrs. Nelson walked into the bakery. Hello, boys! I am having a dinner party tonight, and I would like some of your delicious biscuits to serve to all of our guests. We're terribly sorry, Mrs. Nelson, but our oven seems to be broken at the moment, and we don't know how to fix it. Did you check to see if the oven light was on? Actually, yes. That was the first thing that we tried. The oven light was off, and even when we pressed the button, the oven light would not turn on. Okay. Did you see if the buttons should make the oven hotter or colder, make a beeping sound when you pressed them? Yes, that was the second thing we tried. But the buttons did not make any beeping noises when we pressed them. Just then, Miss Nelson began to smile, and she reached into her purse and pulled out a hard hat, a tool belt, and the biggest wrench you've ever seen. Stand back, boys. This is the job for Mrs. Nelson. I studied oven repair in school, you know. Mrs. Nelson hurried to the back of the storage room, where she immediately found the problem. Aha! Here's the problem, boys. It looks as if these boxes fell over and turned off the power switch to the oven. With one push of her wrench, Mrs. Nelson flipped the power switch on, and the oven light came on. The brothers were very happy to have the oven working again, and Mrs. Nelson was excited that her party could have some of the brothers' delicious biscuits to serve. Mrs. Nelson, you saved the day. You fixed our oven. I'll say, 3 cheers for Mrs. Nelson. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! The brothers both thanked Mrs. Nelson, and they even made her an extra bundle of biscuits to thank her for fixing the oven. Thank you so much, boys. Now my party will be a huge success. I don't know what I would do without you boys. The brothers just looked at each other and laughed. Actually, Mrs. Nelson, we don't know what we would do without you. The end. The Biscuit Brothers presents The Thunderstorm. It was a very cloudy day in the village, and even though it was daytime, the dark clouds made the sky look like it was almost nighttime. The wind was very windy also, blowing things this way and that. Even some of the trees and bushes were moving around from the wind blowing so hard. I say, George, it does seem like a rather miserable day outside, don't you think? I would say that a rather strong thunderstorm is heading our way. The bakery was filled with the usual crowd in the afternoon. Mr. Maloney was there, Sampson and Nigel had their usual sport, and a few of the other villagers were there as well. Just then, Mrs. Nelson walked in. Oh, my goodness, this wind is really something. Mrs. Nelson had to hold on to her umbrella as she came to the door, and a cold chill swept through the entire bakery as she pushed the door closed against the strong wind. Why, good afternoon, Mrs. Nelson. I'm glad to see you made it in okay with all of the weather going on out there. George thinks that there might be a strong thunderstorm coming. Well, George is right. I suspect that the storm will be here any... No sooner had she started to speak when a loud thunderclap shook the entire village, startling them all. Oh my goodness, ho! Aha! It seems as though I was right. The storm was coming and now it is here. The storm raged on outside with very loud claps of thunder and bright flashes of lightning. I think this is the worst storm I've seen in quite some time. I am glad that we all made it safely to the bakery. Just then, everything went dark at the bakery. The thunderstorm has knocked the power out. Everyone looked around at everyone else. All anyone could see was everyone's eyes. Well, this is just splendid. Now how are we supposed to make biscuits? I can't even see my own hands. Well, maybe we could light some candles to see whether the power comes back on. So Henry and George lit candles all over the bakery, setting one at each table, one at the counter, and a few in the kitchen. Alright, that should do it. Now we can see better. We can see better? But how will we bake without any power? The two brothers thought and thought about how they could bake with no power. Then suddenly an idea dawned on them. George, do you remember in the back corner that we built the brick oven into the wall? Of course, we can use the brick oven to do all of the baking. The brothers transferred everything over to the brick oven and started to bake, but there was one problem. They had no fire to start the oven with. I guess we will have to get some firewood from somewhere to get this fire going. I suppose you're right, but where on earth are we going to find some firewood in here? Henry was right. There was indeed not a single piece of firewood in the entire bakery. If they wanted to make a fire in the brick oven, they would have to find something other than firewood to burn in it. Hey, I know. We can use one of the candles and put it into the oven to start the fire. All we need is something that will burn. How about my socks? George, we can't make biscuits with old socks. Do you want to eat biscuits that taste like feet and smell like old socks? The idea did seem quite terrible to George once he thought a bit more about it. Now it was Henry's turn to propose a plan. I say, George, look at all of those empty boxes in the corner. Why, I'll bet they would make a great thing to put in the fire and heat up the oven with. Henry and George placed the candle into the oven, and then they placed the old boxes on top of the candle. Before long, the brick oven was all fired up and ready to bake. Henry, we've done it! Now, to put it to the test, let's bake some fresh biscuits in this brick oven. The brothers baked the first ever batch of biscuits in the brick oven, and when it was time for them to come out, everyone in the bakery was talking about how wonderful they smelled. I say, boys, it smells like you have found a way to make your famous biscuits even better. Hi, everyone. The thunderstorm has knocked out the power, but we still found a way to make some new biscuits using a different method. Now, who will be the first to have one? Well, it might as well be me. I'm starving. Mrs. Nelson took a bite and couldn't believe that the biscuits tasted even better now than before. My goodness, boys, you've outdone yourselves again. These are simply delicious. Before long, everyone in the shop was enjoying these new brick fire oven biscuits. The brothers were able to find a way to use what they had around them to solve their problems. And now the village has a brand new treat to enjoy. You know, Henry, I suppose it was a good thing that the power went out. You are so right, George. If the storm had knocked off the power, we would not have this new tasty treat on the menu. From then on, the brick oven fire biscuits were a village favorite. And every time a thunderstorm came by, everyone came rushing to the bakery to see what creative idea that the Biscuit Brothers would come up with next. The end. The Biscuit Brothers presents Moon Biscuits. It was a lovely day in the village. Everyone had their windows open as a gentle breeze swept over the afternoon hills. The postman was out delivering mail to all of the villages. When he got to the Biscuit Brothers bakery, he noticed that he had a rather special letter for them. Morning, guys. You two must be extra special to have a letter in an envelope like this one. I say, is that for us? Let's have a look at it, shall we? George opened the letter and began to read out loud what the letter contained. Dear Biscuit Brothers, hey, that's us. We are writing to you from the space program in Zoom City. Our astronauts have heard all about your delicious biscuits and would like to have some for their next mission to the moon. We hope that you will bake us a special few batches so that we can send them along with the astronauts on their mission. Sincerely, General Gaines. Well, I'll be. The space program, eh? I think this will be the first time anything that we have made will be in space. I'll say. Well, we had better get to it. We don't want to keep the astronauts waiting. So the brothers got right to work making several batches of their delicious biscuits. They used everything in the shop to fill this very special order, and when they were done, they were very tired, but they were still so excited that they could hardly sleep that night. What do you think the spaceship will look like up close? Do you think they will let us see the inside? How fast do you... George! We must get some sleep if we want to make it there tomorrow. Now let's have no more questions until morning. All of a sudden, it was quiet in the room until Henry said, Do you think they will eat the biscuits on the way up or back down? Henry! Now you are the one keeping us awake. The brothers finally fell fast asleep, and all throughout the night, they dreamed of spaceships and space adventures. The next morning finally came, and the brothers rushed to catch the train to make it all the way to Zoom City so that they could give some of their delicious biscuits to the astronauts. Henry, have you ever seen such an amazing place as this? No, George. This is simply amazing. After the train arrived at the space program's headquarters, the brothers quickly went inside to give their special delivery. Ah, there you are, boys. And I see you brought some of your delightful smelling packages with you. Yes, sir. We have them all here, just like you requested. General, if it's all right, do you think we might have a tour of the spaceship before the astronauts leave? Why, certainly, boys. Come right this way. General Gaines took the boys into the spaceship and showed them all around. Well, we might as well drop off the biscuits while we're here. Just throw them all in that room over there and we'll skedaddle on out of here. Just then, the General's phone went off. I better take this, fellas. I'll tell you what, just finish loading up and then come on out to the bridge. We'll launch this thing off right. As General Gaines was leaving, the brothers unloaded all of the boxes of biscuits and got ready to leave the spaceship. Wow, this is so exciting. I wonder what it would be like to sit in the pilot's chairs. Absolutely not, George. We simply couldn't. Oh, why not? The brothers couldn't believe how many buttons and screens were at the controls. Just then, the crew noticed that they had some non-astronauts in the pilot seats. General, should they be sitting there like that? Ah, shoot, it's fine. So long as no one hits this big red button like this. Without thinking, the General pressed the launch button, which in turn blasted the spaceship right off of the launch pad. Uh-oh. Well, that was on me, y'all. The brothers had no idea what was going on. I say, George, did you do that? No, Henry, it wasn't me. but I suggest we buckle up and quickly. The spaceship took off like, a rocket. And inside were the two unsuspecting brothers who still had no idea what was happening. General Gaines tried contacting them through the ship's radio.
Boy! Hey boys, y'all alright?
Well, considering the situation, I'd say we're doing pretty good.
Okay, now just listen to me. All you gotta do is hit that big blue button to cancel the mission and the ship will come on back home.
The rockets were so loud that George thought the general said the big green button.
No, not that one. Well, I guess we'll see you boys tomorrow. You just hit the go to the moon button. Well, nothing we can do now. Just sit tight and then the spaceship will circle around the moon and come on back on its own.
Oh, you've done it now, George. What are we supposed to eat for a whole day while we're trapped in this spaceship? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the general over the noise of the rockets. But hey, why don't we eat the biscuits that we brought for the astronauts to eat? Splendid idea, George. So the brothers got to see all of the wonders of the moon and enjoy delicious biscuits at the same time. When the spaceship finished its course, it landed right back in the same spot they had taken off. The first person they saw when they got off of the ship was General Gaines.
Hey boys! Gee, I'm mighty sorry I launched you all up into space like that.
It was fun, actually, and we got to see the moon up close.
Well, alright then, no harm done. But say, we still want to order a few more batches of your delicious biscuits so the real astronauts can go up again next week. What do you say?
No problem at all. But perhaps this time you can come and pick them up from us so we don't end up on the moon again? The end. Hello friends, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button as well as the alert notification bell so you can always be aware of our latest adventures, just like these. See you soon!